Hey everyone, I'm here with my mom and highly requested video. We are finally going to be showing you how to make pho, or the right way to pronounce it, because a lot of people struggle with how to pronounce pho. It is kind of a long process, so we're definitely going to walk you through it as best as we can.
It's not hard, but it takes like too many steps to do this.
A lot of
a bit different than in the restaurant, because restaurant the temperature is hot, is higher than home.
And she would know because my parents actually used to own a pho restaurant, or a pho restaurant, so they definitely know how to make it the right way, but we are going to show you like a simplified and easier way to make it at home, and it's going to taste just as good, trust us.
Okay.
Alright, let's begin. So for this part, I would suggest doing this the night before. Treat this as like a 2-day process. It'll just be easier on you. So we have 5 pounds of beef bones here, which we're going to need for the soup. And in the back there, we also have 1.5 pounds of beef shank, boneless beef shank. So you're going to drop all of this into a pot of boiling water, and what we're just doing here is cleaning up the bones and the meat. Just let that boil for a while, and even putting salt in is going to help clean it up further. Give it about 8 to 10 minutes, and then afterwards be very, very careful when handling this. We are going to dump that water out, and also just go ahead and start pouring some cooler water in there to just help cool things down, because it is going to be really hot. So just carefully pour that all out. You see all that like extra fat and stuff? Yeah, you want to get rid of that. So just pouring in some more cooler water and going to rinse that out, and also rinse each bone along with the boneless beef shank. So do you want to know our easy way of making the broth? We use a crock pot. So what you're going to do is just load everything in there, pour the water up until it pretty much covers everything, and then turn it on high until it boils. Once it boils, you're going to turn the setting down to low, and then just leave that in there overnight for at least 8 hours. Alright, so the next day should be good to go. What you want to do next is scoop out all that extra fatty oil up top there. Now we're just going to remove all the bones and the beef shank that's in there. It is going to be really hot, so once again, be careful. Once you've done that, you are going to grab that pot and pour the broth into a separate pot, and you're going to notice that there's going to be some extra residue, sediments, whatever you want to call it, I don't know the right term for it, at the bottom there. So pretty much just going to, remove that, not have that pour in. As you can see, a big part of this is just trying to get a nice clear broth, nothing that's too oily. Try to just keep it clean. We're actually going to add another pot of boiling water into it, so it just doubles the amount of that. And then to flavor it, we're going to put all these things in. This is a pho spice flavoring that I think you can only specifically find in like Asian grocery stores. And we're just going to put in 2 packs of that, as you can see here. And then you have your green onions, you have your ginger, your onion, and then these are star anises, which I think you can find at regular grocery stores too. You might have to look like in the international area for that, but we just have it in a coffee filter. That way you don't have to like scoop these out later. And so you just kind of wrap it up like that and toss all of this in at once into the broth and just let that boil. And then once everything's in, you want to let that simmer for about 30 minutes. And then afterwards, you're going to just scoop everything out. We like to use rock candy to just sweeten up the broth a bit, but really just sweeten and salt the broth to your liking, to your tasting. Okay, so this is the type of meat we'll be putting in it. So we have sliced beef eye round, And then this is the shank beef shank. That was cooked in the broth before. But you can also have, you know, like meatballs, tripe, brisket, whatever else you want to put in it. You can go ahead and buy that meat for it. But we usually keep it minimal. Just this is how our family eats it.
Good.
Oh, she said it smells good. Now it's time to prepare the noodles. This is the kind that we get, but there's different kinds. We are just waiting for the water to boil. We're just gonna let that actually sit in the boiling water for about 30 seconds, not very long at all. Because keep in mind that we are gonna be pouring hot broth into the noodles later too, so you don't wanna like over soften the noodles. It just won't be as good. And then of course you wanna make sure that the noodles aren't too hard either. To cool everything down and stop the cooking process, just put some cold water over it, just like how you would make pasta. Prepare the noodles not long after it's done. You don't really want to let it cool down, otherwise it may just stick together and clump inside the strainer. We're just pre-cooking some of the meat into the broth, and then we're going to put it into the bowl. Alright, and this is just the other meat that we're putting in, but of course add whatever meat, meatballs, tripe, brisket, whatever you want. Now we have onions, both kinds, green onions, and what else? Is it just chopped up cilantro? And you can just sprinkle that on top of the bowl. She's gonna actually heat up like a small saucepan for each bowl. So it's a little bit tedious, but that way you can get it really hot.
Wow.
Here are the different types of herbs and garnishes that you can put in. So we have bean sprouts, we have basil, this is culantro, and then we have lime, pepper. So now let's place them in. Along with all that, I also like to add hoisin sauce and siracha sauce, delicious. And I also like to dip my meat in those sauces. So let's try this out. Moment of truth.
What do you think?
It's really good. It has like the right amount of sweetness because I like my pho kind of sweet. A lot of flavor. I don't like bland pho. It's really good. Thank you, Mom. All done. Everyone sounds like,